Welcome, one and all, back to World of Warcraft. Just about 3 seconds ago, we had ended the last video, and we're going to go ahead and continue the second video because Chris and I are both not quite tired. We tend to stay up the whole evening. I had done a live stream for about 9 hours, but we're not quite tired yet, so we're going to go ahead and do part 2 right after getting done with part 1, and we are going to continue where we last left off.
They'll be
Yep.
around the area. You just want to loot them. I already got that one though, so it's gonna disappear on you. I'm just letting you know now.
Ah! Whoops.
Retail.
Yeah. Retail, that's another thing. The difference between classic versus retail when it comes to mining, herbalism, skinning, just anything that's on the actual terrain and you're looting it, and somebody was already looting it before, you're not going to get the item. That was an example. Chris was already looting that item. I did not realize that. And I went over to try to loot it also because I'm used to retail where it's going to also let you loot the item. And so that's why it's important for you to try to find your own veins, your own herbalism that is going to allow you to get your own items in that case. And so for me, it's totally different because you get that kind of that experience that this is your item and you have to go find it for yourself, and I appreciate that. Then we also have some other quests. Samuel's remains buried. We have to go kill some spiders.
You already did all 6.
I still need 3 more. I think I know where some more. Oh, there's one right behind this house.
Yes. Well, you need 2 more? Because I just found
Yes.
the last
I need 1 more, or 2 more. I think there's some over at these other houses, I believe. Oh, there's one inside this house.
There's one right near where I'm at too, inside the building.
Oh, near the building?
No, it's right here, dude.
Oh, okay. I thought you were looting that. Okay.
No. I got it.
Cool.
I already finished mine.
Okay.
Show it to you.
Excellent. So now we have got all 6. And so it looks like...
Move down to Marla's Last Wish. It's close by.
Yep. I was going to say, it looks like Chris is going to go and lead us to Marla's Last Wish. And this is another example as to... it's good to group up with friends because it makes the experience go quicker. You level easier, so that way you're not both having mobs come to you. You kill them quicker. So here's the Samuel Phillips that we both have to kill to get the remains from him. So
Also, if you're playing with your friends, you can blame them when the group wipes.
what was that?
I said also when you're playing with friends, you get to blame them when the group dies.
Yeah, that too. That too. That too.
You didn't manage your spells efficiently, Kyle.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I know why it's still showing it. It's 'cause
Okay.
we haven't put it in the burial ground yet.
Not yet. That's back at the death knell.
Yeah, I know. I was just wondering why it was still showing up for me, but I know why.
Now we're off to go kill some spiders. And eventually, unlike with the retail, like what I was talking to them about, that you go from level. I never talked to them about this. With retail, you can go from level 1 to like 60, 70 in like less than 24 hours worth of gameplay. With this is going to take you significantly longer because you need a lot more experience to level up to level 60.
Yeah, you might hit level 10 within the first hour and a half of gameplay, and that's
Yep.
if you do a really good job with it.
Yep. You actually go and actually know exactly where to go and how to use the right spells, you so on and so forth. You're playing with friends, it'll go by quickly. But yeah, with retail, if you were to play that, you can get heirloom gear. They'll level you up that much quicker. You have buffs right now going on where you can get 100% more experience from killing creatures and completing quests. So it's totally different from Classic. Christopher just hit level 4. Very nice. I'm about to hit 4 myself. But was that?
We'll have this done by the time you hit level.
Oh yes. Also, each. Oh, here we go. This is the example of the red creatures that I was talking about. That if we were to go through this area right up here, that if we were not to attack them, they will attack you because they are aggressive. So.
You have to be within range
To trigger them. Yeah. With, like I was talking about before, the specializations of the fire, my specialization and his specializations, no matter what specializations we go into, we're still going to learn a certain amount of moves because that's what they want. They want to make it balanced where you can learn all sorts of different types of spells, but there's certain spells that they will only specify for you when it comes to your with your specialization. Again, a thing called Pyroblast, you can only get that in the talent tree for fire as an example. So ooh, hello. Here's an example that as time goes on with leveling up, your spirit or your mana regeneration, like what I talked about before, is a lot lower. Once you hit a certain level in your class, you might not have as high as other classes. An example, I only have 29 spirit. Chris's might be a little bit higher. His class might be different when it comes to the spirit spec or the spirit stat. But my regeneration for my mana is not high enough, so I'm gonna have to drink water to get our mana back up high enough.
Speaking of which, have you gotten your mana food yet?
I have not.
Okay, you should here in a second.
Yes, in which that will help us both. So that way, I can conjure is what they call it: conjure water, conjure food, and I can get Chris and I some food and water. So that way, we don't have to spend money on food and water, so which is really helpful for both of us. So instead of spending 5 copper on 5 things of food, we just get free food. So
Well, it's not free technically. It costs you mana.
that's true. Costs mana, and plus it costs you copper/silver to learn the move too. So. And here is the. Oh, well, that's kind of interesting how you buried it and it counted for me too. That's weird, but yet it's still in my in my inventory. Huh. So I'm gonna go ahead and get get the belt. I'm going to go over here and talk to the executor Aaron. Get another quest, the Scarlet Crusade.
Oh yes, the humans. Filthy humans. Filthy humans.
Okay.
Corruption and curse weakness. No, I can't learn curse weakness. I don't have enough money yet. I gotta sell some of my shit.
Uh-oh. And here's what I was talking about, again, when it comes to the proficiencies. For me, my class, I can't use daggers, maces, swords, in general, two-handed swords or regular swords. I can use staves, and it shows Well, it used to show what what your actually it does. It shows in your character. It shows your skills of what kind of weapons you can use: staves, unarmed, and wands. And then you actually can go to major cities and learn more weapons that you could use later on. But right now, I'm only proficient in staves and wands. I can probably learn swords. I believe, if I remember correctly, you can learn swords. But there's certain proficiency weapons that you cannot use. I cannot probably use axes. So that's for each class. But the one class, there are certain classes that can learn almost everything, and that is the warrior. You're looking at the warrior, it can learn. What's that?
In classical warrior can use anything.
Yep. Staves, daggers, unarmed, which tends to be your fist weapon. So it makes it quite interesting. Let me go ahead and go into mage training, conjure water, and we learned the frostbolt move. I don't know. Let's go ahead and conjure up some water for Cris. Oh wow.
Give me some water, bitch.
That's interesting. How it only conjures up 2 water per time.
But when you level up, it'll get like a stack, I think max at like 22 before your next rank kicks in.
Okay.
So every time you level, it'll increase to 4, and then 6, and then 8, 12, so on and so forth.
Oh. Then I can go ahead and trade with Cris and give him 10 conjured waters. I'm gonna go ahead and sit down and drink some actual spring water, and then I'll conjure up my own water. And so that's our conjure water. Like what Cris said, as you level up, you'll be able to conjure more waters until you get a new conjured water rank, and then you have to restart it. But it would give you more water per time. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on frost armor.
You might want to re-int yourself.
What was that?
I said you might want to re-int yourself.
Re-hit myself?
Intellect. Int.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Intellect.
Intellect, I got you. And I'll do it on you too.
Re-arcane intellect yourself, bud.
Yes, I got you. And that's our conjure water. And then we got the frost bolt, like what I was talking about before. The frost moves are going to try to slow down the creatures. That way they don't try to come to hit us. And so I'll probably show you an example as what I'm talking about once we go against the... Was that?
Resist spells.
Resist spells. Here is the Scarlet Convert. Here is a Frostbolt. Ah, of course.
Oh, that's right. Corruption. Corruption actually has a... Oh, okay, I got a small blue pouch. Suck it.
Very nice. So here's the Frostbolt thing. It shows the movement has been slowed. That if they were to try to come to me, it takes them... Their movement has been slowed by that much of a percentage. And then when it comes to Cris, he has Corruption and Emulate. And then I have the Fire. This thing is called a Dot, where is damage over time. And it is really good... the Warlocks are really well known when it comes to dots. With mages, they have it. There's certain other classes that have it, but the Warlocks are well known to have the dots. So our goal right now is to collect a total of 12 armbands, Scarlet armbands to be precise. Shoot him in the face. And that is Chris's little imp Nalrin. It's gonna help him do damage.
Oh,
Overall.
I'm gonna shoot one of those dudes in the face. Not that I'm worried. I got plenty of health. My imp, on the other hand, might die. Who cares about him? I can just resummon him.
Oh, that's another thing that we have yet to talk about is dying. Once you die, your proficiency on your clothes goes down. So it shows 40 or durability. It goes down, and it costs money once it goes down to 0, and it's going to cost you a shit ton of money to get that back. And once you do die, you have to run back to your corpse via, you'll see it eventually probably, you're a ghost and you have to run back to your corpse. And right in front of you when you die is an angel of sort, and it's going to allow you to resurrect right there. And if you do that, you get resurrection sickness, and that is going to reduce your stats, you take more damage, and your damage is reduced when you're doing that, or when you do get that res sickness. So it's probably key for you to go and run back to your corpse, and then you can go back via Hearthstone or so on and so forth. So dying it can be kind of a pain in the ass. That's why you want to work with buddies or work with a new class, or work with the classes that we talked about in the previous video that are going to help you level and understand World of Warcraft. So. And the most classic way of dying via Zac is falling. Loves to jump off of giant cliffs and is like, I can make that, and ends up falling over dead. Like, instead of dying in dungeons, dying in raids, he jumps from way up there and jumps all the way down here and is like, I can make that, and ends up dying. It's like, no, you can't make that. What are you doing? But it makes it interesting as you level up. If you're not with other people, you gotta make sure you have your spells on you. You have the right rank spells, so that way you're doing more damage. So, and that's another thing when it comes to, like what happened with Cris in the previous video. He went and we had to get scavenger paws, and the paws did not drop on him, and we had to kill several more scavengers to get those paws. And in Classic, WoW, Burn Crusade, you weren't guaranteed to have these items drop every time, and that's same with these armbands. There's not guaranteed. With retail, you're guaranteed it every time, and it's kind of ridiculous comparatively to what Classic brings. So let's see here. I have already spent 11 minutes. I would have been probably level 7 or 8 by now if we were to be playing retail, but luckily we are playing Classic, and it just brings a new challenge to it that we're spent 11 minutes in level 4, which I do appreciate quite a bit.
No, I bought that.
Freaking resisting my spells, you jerk. The amount. Stupid Carnal or Mevin resurrected or respawned. That's another thing is that with Classic, the skills, like what I was talking about when it comes to your staves and your wands, you actually have to level them up to actually be able to use them. And in the retail, you don't have to do that. You're guaranteed to be able to use the max amount of damage, and it's totally different from this, where anybody could loot an item, but you want to be fair enough where you don't take an item that you cannot proficiently use. So again, I'm not proficiently am not proficient in daggers. If I were to loot a dagger that had +1 intellect, I would probably want to ask Cris if he'd be interested in the +1 intellect dagger. So, and then if he were to have a staff and had +1 intellect, he might be interested in be like, hey, I have this staff. Since you're giving me a dagger, would you be interested in that? So, it makes it more interesting because again, with today's retail, it's totally different where anybody can use or you can use it automatically of your proficiency of your weapon, and it makes it not as interesting. Plus, whenever you're doing dungeons and you're doing raids in retail now, the mobs or the boss knows your class and what the proficiency is, or what items that you're needing for your class, so it makes it not as... What was that?
How many more armbands do you need?
I need 2 more.
So do I.
So it makes it not as interesting to... Because during Classic, you get just random items that drop... Ooh, level 5. Oh, you got your armband. Got 1 more left.
I didn't get my armband.
Oh, I thought you just got it.
I still need 1 more.
Oh, okay. I need 2 more still.
There's my last armband. How many more you need?
1 more still. Nope, we are good actually.
Cool.
Just got the last one. And also, when it comes to the professions, like what we were talking about, you have to be level 6 to get those professions. So it makes it a little interesting to have to be at a certain level to get those. Or is it level 5?
Well, we're both level 5, so we gotta wait until level 6 before getting next ranks and anything.
Yep. Just got our armbands. We talked to this gentleman. We can get... And each weapon is going to be worth so much because I can't use them myself. Cris will probably end up getting either the dagger. Can you use maces? I don't think you can. But the most expensive item for me that I can sell the item is the 2-hand sword. It's going to be worth the most. I can sell it. So
Broken sword.
then we get... Now we get the quest to go kill that Mevin that kept respawning on us. Here is my staff. It's going to do 2.6 damage per second instead of 1.4 if I were to do melee. And that's going to help us in the end. But statistically, it's not going to help us. So let's go ahead and sell some items. Actually, I will buy back that spring water. I'm going to repair. So that way, when our gear doesn't go out, or our gear won't go out, and it's not going to cost us an arm and a leg to get that, so. Repaired of. So now, we have to go kill Mevin Korgel, the messenger, at the Crusader camp, then return any information you find to execute Was that?
Yeah, I know where he's at.
Alrighty. I thought he was back at that one camp that we were just at.
What?
I thought he was back at that camp that we were just at, that Scarlet camp.
Oh, that's not the traitor undead guy you have to question.
Not
This
yet.
is